So last week I put up a video of the top 10 games that I would put on my N64 Classic Edition, and I said that I would probably do a part 2 of this video because there's more than 10 games that I love on the N64, but you guys gave me a bunch of feedback of the games that you think should be on the platform, so I decided to kind of mix the two together, and I wanted to do 10 more games that I think should be on the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition, so let's jump in. Number 1 on this list goes to Mario Party. Yes, I'm surprised I didn't even have it on my first list, but yeah, I have a ton of memories with this game. This would be on my personal list as well, and you guys, you kept shouting it out in the comments, so I'm like, you know what, this is definitely going on the list. I have so many memories with this game, and with this series, really. Like, me, my brother, my cousins, we would play this all night long, and there was that damn game with the, where you're trying to like run away from a ghost or something on like the little workout machine, and you're sitting there like spinning the joystick all around with your hand, literally blisters all over our hands, and we just kept doing it. Like, what were we thinking? We're literally destroying our hands, and we kept playing that stupid game because we kept trying to get like the best score that you could possibly get on it, and it was just like impossible no matter what you did. So yeah, huge shout out to Mario Party. The series has kind of fallen off a bit in my opinion. I think the first like 2 or 3 games are the best of the bunch. So yeah, if an N64 Classic Edition comes out, it's almost bound to have Mario Party on it. Now, my number 2 would have to go to Paper Mario. You guys kept shouting this out down in the comments, and I personally didn't really get to dive into this original Paper Mario that much. My cousins had it, I went to their house and played it. It was a lot of fun, but like I said, I'm not going to pretend like I know so much about it, but I couldn't leave it off the list because first off, it's a Paper Mario game, and that franchise has a huge following. In my opinion, with the latest games, I don't like how they've kind of like went away from the RPG style, and they kind of implement some like gimmicky type stuff with the stickers and the paint and stuff like that, but I'm interested to jump back in the series one day. I love the one on Wii, and I'm excited if they ever come out with one on Switch. So Paper Mario on the N64 Classic Edition would work out really great because first off, this cartoony art style would still look good today if it was just up-res to HD, and the game in general just still looks perfectly fine in my opinion. Kudos to Nintendo for always giving us these like stylish art directions that age so well. It's just crazy. Now this next one I spent so much time with as a kid, and is Diddy Kong Racing. This was kind of like the game you picked up after playing Mario Kart with your friends, and you wanted something a little different but still very much the same. This game was just way ahead of its time. It allowed you to fly through the air, drive on the ground, drive on the sea. It was just incredible for the time because little we know, years later, the Mario Kart series would copy this and bring you to the sea, into the sky, into the ground, and then so would the Sonic Racing franchise. They also did the same thing. So obviously, Diddy Kong Racing did something right, and I'm sure many of you out there love this game just like I do. Now this next one, this is a crazy story because I actually didn't play Conker's Bad Fur Day until it was way past the N64 years. It was probably like during the Wii days when I was a teenager, and I played this for the first time on Nintendo 64, and it's a ton of fun. It's great split screen action, and it's a really mature game. And speaking of Diddy Kong Racing, Conker was actually a part of that game. Then years later, Microsoft bought Rare, and Rare owned the IP. Now Conker is owned by Microsoft, and we haven't seen any games in so long. We got like one on the original Xbox, but ever since then, it's just an abandoned series, and that makes me really sad. But at least we can jump back into this game if they somehow get the rights to put it on the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. Microsoft and Nintendo seem to be getting along lately with the crossplay and the Minecraft stuff, so I don't know, I could totally picture this happening. I don't think Microsoft would really ask much for it. It would just be up to Nintendo, because technically they would be marketing a game owned by one of their competitors. And the next one would have to go to Mario Golf, because it's Mario frickin' Golf. It's a lot of fun. There's not really much to say about it. The series is still going on. We got the one on 3DS called World Tour. That was a lot of fun, and the N64 game was just awesome in my opinion. Like, it's crazy that these like side sports game spin-offs are still going today. It means they're still doing well if Nintendo is still deciding to make them. So shout out to Mario Golf. We need one on Switch. I'm dying for that type of game on Switch. I really hope if the N64 Mini is real that we get Mario Golf on it. Bomberman 64. I could totally picture this happening because of the fact that Nintendo and Konami, I know a lot of people hate them, but they're getting along really well lately with Smash Brothers, and like Snake coming back there, and they're bringing in the Castlevania characters. So it's really cool seeing them get along and work together, and I could totally picture Bomberman 64 happening. I loved this game as a kid, and I believe it was like the first time the series really turned into more of like an action-adventure game instead of just being a straight-up puzzler like a board game style. There were still those moments in the game, but it allowed you to venture off, meet new enemies, meet new friends and foes, so I really enjoyed that game, and it would just have to be be on this list. Now, I have a confession to make. I spent most of my childhood playing Tony Hawk games. And yes, you might think, of course you did, they're freaking awesome, but no, I played too much Tony Hawk. Like, I'm mad at myself for all the times I spent on my GameCube and on my PS1 and my N64 and the Wii. Those horrible Tony Hawk games on Wii I spent a lot of time with. And I should have been playing other games. I was just so tied to this franchise. I loved skateboarding at the time. I loved the music in the game. I just loved everything about them. I even went on to play the horrible games until I finally fell off. I think it was after like Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam. I finally fell off after that. But it all started with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and that game on N64 isn't as good as the PS1 version in my opinion, because like the soundtrack and stuff you don't really got in there, and just the controls on the PS1 controller with this game, I like them better, but I actually still like the N64 controller. I know it gets a lot of hate, but in my opinion, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater would have to be on this list. It's so good, amazing gameplay. Like, it was such a fresh take on the skateboarding gameplay at the time, and it went on to sell millions and be crazy good. And then it got annualized by Activision, of course, and slowly started to kill itself, kind of like how they do with everything. Now, this next one only released in Japan originally on the N64, and it's called Sin and Punishment. And guys, I recently started up Sin and Punishment on Wii because I heard this game was amazing, and oh my god, it is. And I really want to play the original now. I even looked up gameplay videos, and this is such an impressive game for releasing on the N64. It's like the most I've ever seen happening on screen on an N64 game, and the graphics are pretty damn good for the time. This is a series that I'm surprised hasn't blown up in the US. Like, they're gorgeous games, they're fun, they're non-stop action. You're pretty much playing a huge like cinematic movie, and it's so awesome. Like, I cannot recommend Sin and Punishment on Wii. I can't remember the semicolon name of it, like I'll put it on the screen right now, but a really underrated gem. I'm excited just to go back and play it after this. I'm actually thinking about doing a video on it because there's just a bunch of good Wii games that kind of got looked over that I'm going to jump back to and play them for the first time. Like, seriously, look at this gameplay and tell me it's not one of the best looking N64 games. It's incredible. Now, shout out to Wave Race 64. What a gorgeous game this was for the time. Like, the water physics, the bouncing of your like jet ski, it was just so incredible, so engrossing, and I played the hell out of this game. I love games like this, like the ATV games, the jet ski games, and we got a sequel to this game on GameCube called Wave Race Blue Storm, and that game had really great graphics as well, and I'm sad that we haven't gotten another one since then. Like, Nintendo, bring back Wave Race. You have incredible technology to work with now. You can make beautiful games. Like, give it one of your amazing art directions with beautiful water, and I will play it. There's not really much else to say about it except Nintendo, bring this game back in HD glory. Not like remade or anything, but just up-resed on the N64 Classic, and I will be happy. The last one on the list goes to another IP owned by Microsoft, but I could totally still picture happening, and that is BanjoKazooie. While I didn't like this game as much as Mario 64 or Donkey Kong 64, which I had to leave off this list, but don't worry, I might do another video, put it on the list. But BanjoKazooie was just a lot of fun, and you guys kept shouting it out down in the comments, so apparently people love this game. I just remember collecting a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't really dive deep into this one, but it was fun from the time I spent with it. I just want to see this series make a return, you know? Like, there's a lot of people begging Microsoft to make a new Banjo game, which is pretty crazy because it just really seems like platformers really started to die off toward the end of last generation, and then now this generation, they're like bigger than ever with like Ukulele like being funded, and then there's a bunch of other like side-scrolling platforms that are doing really well. So I think if you're gonna bring back Banjo, you might want to bring it back during the time where all these old classics are coming back, like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. So Microsoft, you might want to hop on that. I think it'll sell really great. You might actually sell some Xboxes if you bring back like the classic games, like remaster them, if they have the rights to them. I don't really know how any of that works, because I know like Nintendo, I think, published them. I don't know, but that's my full list of 10 games. I could probably do another video of 10 Nintendo 64 games because, like I said, I played a ton of these. Now, there's a ton of games not even on this list that I love, but I know that like they wouldn't really make sense being on here, like the WrestleMania games and like some more sports games like Blitz and stuff like that. Like, there's just tons of great N64 games. I don't care what anybody says. I'm kind of sad that it never really blew up. Like, it obviously sold pretty good, but not as good as the Super Nintendo or the NES, and that's kind of sad. But like I said, that's all I got to say today, guys. Be sure to let me know down in the comments what games you would like to see on the N64 Classic Edition. If you want to see a part 3 of this series, be sure to let me know, because like I said, totally easy to do. I love this console, and I really hope the N64 Classic Edition happens. Nintendo, listen to your fans. We all want it to happen. We want that horrible controller back in our hands. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will talk to you later.